girls.
Yeah.
That's cute. Super cute. Yeah.
Whatever weird notes you made, I'm sorry. That would be. There. You're ready to start the meeting? The meeting can start. I was just gonna. Thank you. Okay, testing. Sounds good.
I'm just checking to see if we need more chairs. I didn't mean for everybody to look over.
I think we're at 2 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started with the third quarter Texas GIS community meeting. Welcome to everyone for joining us in person and online. We have a really great agenda for you today. Richard Wade, our State Geographic Information Officer, who normally runs these meetings, unfortunately fell ill today, so I'm filling in for him. My name is Gayla Mullins, and I am the Director of Geographic Information Services at the Texas Geographic Information Office. So here we are at the Barbara Jordan State Office building. We really enjoy this building. It's a nice new one. This entire floor is full of meeting rooms that any state agency can reserve. And so hopefully everyone was able to use the parking pass okay and find their way here okay and enjoy the beautiful new mall that they've constructed out on Congress. Our office is just catty corner from here. If anyone wants to come visit us at Texas Geographic Information Office anytime. So this is our agenda for today. We'll start with our opening remarks. Then I'm going to cover Richard's GIO updates, and then we'll have some forum updates. Our StratMap program will give their presentations. And then we'll have our featured speaker, Chad Blevins from Meta, who will be giving a presentation for us on their content or their work that they do. And then we'll have a roll call, open discussion. And for those that might be new, this is the time where we get to hear from you and learn from each other. So please be thinking now about just some of the things that you're working on that if you would like, you could share with the group. If you're having any issues and you need to reach out to someone at another agency or another entity, another organization, this is the time to do that as well. And if we're all quiet, I will call on you. So thank you for being a part of that. Online can also are free to submit questions. We do have the chat disabled. But during the Q&A, we'll be able to unmute you online and you can ask a question that way if you like, or give an update. Then we'll close out, and afterwards there is a Mappy hour down at Schultz Garden, so I hope everyone can join us there. Okay, so for Richard's GIO updates, he wanted everybody to know that before the next community meeting, which will occur at the forum in October, there is a conference. It's called the National States Geographic Information Conference in San Antonio, or NSGIC for short. NSGIC is the organization that he has been the president of for this almost full year. So this annual conference is happening in September. It isn't always in Texas. It jumps around across the country. This organization is for a group of GIOs from across the state. So the Kansas GIO is there, and the Rhode Island GIO, and what have you. This is their time to get together and interact with the commercial side as well, and learn from each other. So he wanted to let you know that that is going to be happening. It will officially end his presidency of the National States Geographic Information Council, and the Kansas GIO, who I just mentioned, will be the next one. But Richard does go into a full year of past president commitment after that. So he'll still be, of course, active with NSGIC, I think even hopefully for many years. So that is happening then. And now I'm going to hand it over to Gwen, our marketing specialist at TextGIO.
Hi all, good afternoon. Thanks for being here. Like Gayla said, my name is Gwen and I have a few Texas GIS forum updates for you guys. So registration is now open. So if you guys go to our website, geographic.texas.gov, you'll be able to register. We do recommend that you register before September 13th because after that date, prices will rise. We are also accepting digital map products for our digital map gallery that we'll have at the forum this year. If you or someone you know has made something cool that you want to show off, we would love to be the person to show that off for you guys. So definitely submit those before August 30th, the end of next month. That can also be done on our website. And if you're still weighing whether or not to come to the forum or you want to learn more about it, we do have our agenda posted online. You'll be able to see all the fantastic presenters and workshop trainings that we do have available. And speaking of fantastic presenters, I do want to share with you all our keynote presentations, our keynote presenters for the forum. So our opening keynote will be Dr. Albert Lin, who is the host of National Geographic's Lost Cities Revealed with Albert Lin. It's on Disney Plus, I believe, so I definitely recommend checking that out if you have access. Him and his team use remote sensing technologies to do non-invasive explorations for different archaeological features across the globe. It's pretty cool stuff. And our closing keynote will be Nick Buettner, who is with the Blue Zones, which is an organization that studies different geographic regions across the globe that have longer life expectancies, and they gain insights and share this out with people. And now if nothing I said today got you excited to attend or didn't stick in, maybe this will.
Oh, hi, and welcome to the much more relatable and fun Texas Geographic Information Office. We realized that TNRIS was a bit aggressive with its all caps and very long name, Texas Natural Resources Information. So we've rebranded to the Texas Geographic Information Office.
You know what else is great? Is the annual GIS Forum. Annual because it happens every year. And this year is no exception. You know what is exceptional? The new realities we'll be reaching this year at the forum. Reaching new realities.
Howdy. This year's Texas GIS Forum is taking place October 21st through the 25th.
Yeah, you tell 'em, boy!
It will be held at the J.J. Pickle Research Campus, No, we're not making or selling pickles. But form registration is open, so head on over to the event page of our website, geographic.texas.gov, and get signed up for early bird pricing, which ends September 13th. Yeehaw! Stay Mappy.
Did I mention new realities? Check me out. I'm in the augmented reality sandbox. This year, we're really excited about our keynote speakers. Albert Lynn, who you may recognize from the National Geographic show Lost Cities with Albert Lynn. There, they use drone and LiDAR technologies to discover lost archaeological structures. Maybe I'll do some digging in here. We're also lucky enough to have Nick Buettner from the Blue Zone Project. They're taking lessons learned from blue zones around the world where people live well into their hundreds and are living healthier and happier lives. Whoa, well, this is a new reality. The forum does feature pre-conference workshops led by industry professionals. Remember, the registration for workshops is sold separately, so remember to register because they do sell out. They sell out, Richard. Big thanks to our 2024 sponsors. We're excited to see all of y'all at the Texas GIS Forum, where we'll be reaching new realities. Oh, hi there. Here at the Geographic Information Office, we provide a wide range of geographic data, from LiDAR,
Texas GIO, this is Joey. How can I help you?
Hi, I got this LiDAR data set, and I don't know why it's not working. It's just spinning on my machine.
Okay, ma'am. What kind of software are you using?
I'm on a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet right now.
Okay, ma'am. This is geospatial data, so you'll need a geospatial software. Are you familiar with geospatial software?
Can I plug that into Google Maps?
No.
to aerial imagery. Now it's time to meet some of the friendly TextGIO staff here in beautiful Austin, Texas. Hey, Richard, can I help you with something? Are you okay?
No, I got it. So this morning, I go to my car and there's a family of raccoons on the top of it. And I can't get in the car. I spray them with a hose. So I'm able to get in the car. And as I'm driving away, it's about 40 miles an hour, they go flying off. And then on top of that, it takes 45 minutes to go 10 miles.
Okay.
What kind of day is that?
Hey, thank you so much, Richard.
What else is gonna go wrong?
Okay, enjoy.
Forgot my laptop.
Yeah, nobody go in there. Hey, Azia, how's your day going?
I can't talk. Patricia brought brownies.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair. Joe, hey, what about you? How's your day going?
My contours keep crashing. I swear this place is run by children.
Oh, okay. Huh.
How fun is that?
You gotta come, right? You gotta come to the forum. And please come to our office anytime and have fun with that mayhem. Get to this. Okay, next is Lauren, the strap map or with imagery. Yeah, come on up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Kirk. I'm the imagery specialist at TextGIO, and I'm going to give you guys a couple updates on some stuff going on in my world. Starting with the Texas Imagery Service. So if you are new to our community meetings, the Texas Imagery Service is a paid subscription-based orthoimagery program that offers 6-inch natural color resolution imagery for the entire state of Texas. We have collections dating back to 2011. They are updated automatically on a roughly every other year cycle. And that data is streamed through WMTS and WMS links that you can use in your geospatial software or any of your web maps, web apps, what have you. So it is an annual subscription service that's available to all government entities in the state of Texas, whether you're a state agency or a university or a local government, your government entity, you have access to it. And as well as if you're a contractor working on behalf of any of those government entities in Texas. So if you would like to take the imagery service for a free 2-week spin to see if it works for you and your your company needs or your project goals, you can email me directly. We also have a Texas Imagery Service project page on our main website that has a button there for to request a free trial. So I mentioned that we had, oh, I missed something, sorry, other really important thing. So coming this fall, we are rolling out some really amazing custom service enhancements for users of the participants in the imagery service. I'm just kind of teasing about it now, but if you come to our next community meeting in October on Friday, I will go much more in depth about what those custom services are. So please stay tuned for that. Now on to the next thing. I mentioned that we have collections in the imagery service program going back to 2011, but I do want to highlight some of our more recent collections. So starting with our urban area 2024 imagery that just went live on the service last month. That spans a corridor from San Antonio all the way up to the DFW area. So you get San Marcos, New Braunfels, Austin, Georgetown, Rock, Waco, all the way up to DFW. And that joins our most recent statewide collection that was flown over fall, winter 22-23. And currently right now we are flying the next statewide collection for 24-25. We expect that flying to conclude in winter of 2025 and hope to see that imagery go live in the service probably in fall 2025. But big, huge thank you to our partners who helped make this possible, which is Sanborn, GIO, and Hexagon. So, like I mentioned earlier, if you'd like to take a free spin of the imagery service, you can request free 2-week trial links through our Texas Imagery Service project page. If you haven't checked out this page already, please do. There's a bunch of really great FAQs, status maps, and just really good information on there. I do also want to take a minute to highlight the over 90 orthoimagery collections that we have available for free download right now on our TextGIO Data Hub. You have all kinds of different types of collections, whether it be the statewide NAEP collections or some smaller local or regional orthoimagery collects, as well as some of our top 2015 statewide collects. So definitely check those out. They're really great resources for any of your project needs as well. And then finally, if you've been coming to these meetings for about a year now, you've heard me talk about this NOAA high resolution land cover data. It's finally here and it's available, it's online. So hooray, yay. So just a little bit of kind of a high level recap. NOAA has been producing land cover data since the 70s for across the country. And historically that land cover data has been at a 30-meter resolution. Recently, about 2021, I believe, they have decided to pivot to a 1-meter resolution land cover, which is really, really exciting. So the data that we have was for Texas released in 2 phases, both of which were derived using imagery from the Texas Imagery Service. So in phase 1, NOAA released their kind of bread and butter 3 land cover classifications of 58 counties in Texas. And I have a status map that I'll throw up here in a second for you guys to see that. And then included in phase 2, they added an additional 22 land cover classifications for a total of 25. And because that data is so rich and diverse, they distilled it down to an 11-county pilot area of the Houston-Galveston area. So again, I'll show that here in a second. But if you have any questions or are interested in learning more about the NOAA CCAP program, I have linked their really great informational page about the history of the program and where they hope they're going with it. And then just to highlight, the Water Development Board just released a press release of a video of the land cover data where we interview some folks in our groundwater divisions who are going to be using this data day to day and see the use cases. But check it out. I would love to hear how it works for y'all, what your thoughts are, feedback. We are interested in pursuing the 25 classes statewide. So if there's any partnership opportunities, we want to hear from you if you're interested. So yeah, this is that phase 1. You get your water, canopy, and impervious. Those are your 3 main land cover classes in that one. And those are the 58 counties that those cover. And those are available for download right now on NOAA's Digital Coast data download page. Also available on NOAA's Digital Coast download page and the TextGIO Data Hub is the Phase 2 land cover classification that has that full 25 class land cover data of those 11 counties in the Houston-Galveston area. In addition to the NOAA raster, it comes in a raster format, StratMap has derived some vector versions of that data as well, just for accessibility. So again, we want your feedback. Let us know what you like, what you want to see improved on, where we can bring land cover to your project areas in Texas. And then I wanted to close with just a couple of visualizations of what going from 30 meter to 1 meter land cover looks like. So here, this is downtown Houston. A lot of detail gets lost in that 30 meter product. And because it's derived from our 6-inch ortho imagery from the Texas Imagery Service, you can actually zoom even closer in than this 1 meter screenshot that I have up here and really just see, it's amazing how much detail has been derived from that imagery. So here it is again in a more rural setting. I believe this is Calhoun County. Again, just that level of detail. And then of course, along our coastline, which this is super important, I know has so many use cases for coastal science. So amazing, really excited to see it. Again, my name's Lauren. They'll throw my email up here at the end, but unless anyone has any questions, shoot me an email. Cool, thanks guys.
Joey's next.
Hey, I'm back. Hey, everybody, I'm Joey Thomas. I'm the Strategic Mapping Program Manager. I'm filling in today for Ellen St. Romain, who's our elevation specialist. And just going to give you guys some updates on our LiDAR acquisition efforts. So currently the Strategic Mapping Program has 2 active projects at Archer Jack, Lampasas, and Smith County, and Hayes and Williamson County projects. And those projects are both on track, and we are planning to have those become available this fall. Hopefully sometime around the forum, hopefully before, but it might be a little further after that. So, and then also there are 2 federal projects going on by the USGS. There is one that is in conjunction with Houston-Galveston Area Council of Governments for the greater Houston area, and then also a 2022 collection of the USGS Lower Rio Grande Valley. Those are both 8-point per square meter data sets, and I believe they also have some additional classifications as well. And those are expected in the next year or 2, so keep an eye out on those as well. And of course, both those data sets, as soon as they're out, we'll try to have them up on the data hub as well. And to give you an idea about our LiDAR acquisitions moving forward, the USGS has moved to a 5-year cycle. Unfortunately, this is what this state looks like on that 5-year cycle currently, which is not ideal. However, we are trying to take some steps to increase our funding. We actually yesterday got board approval to do will be our largest LiDAR acquisition in the StratMap program history. So keep an eye out for that. We'll probably have more details on that at our next community meeting. And also, as we move forward in these coming years, we'll be trying to transition to a HUC 6-based acquisition approach, which we believe is more ideal for trying to keep the state on that 5-year cycle, as well as it lines up a lot with the future efforts for elevation-derived hydrography, as well as baseline engineering that goes on at the water board, so that those watershed models don't have to be separate years or separate collections with different specifications. Each HUC 6 will have the same data from the same timestamp to try and equal the data. And so yeah, for this upcoming winter, we are still trying to finalize the AOI, and we do have a couple of partners that are going to be working with us this upcoming winter. Of course, if anybody else is interested in joining that project, please let us know as soon as possible, as we will be moving forward with it pretty soon. Other updates, so we do plan to continue our classification standardization across the state. That green area is the area that we have created the classifications that with the USGS data that include buildings and then vegetation and culvert classifications. We do plan to extend that out into the West Texas area, and hopefully we'll get those projects underway either in the fall or early spring of next year. As always, we are always looking for partners. We're also working with our coastal science group to do a bathymetry project this upcoming year. Still working on identifying some of those areas of interest, but if you do have a need for bathymetry on the coast, please let us know. We are always looking for partners on that as well. And I think that's it for me, and I will pass it over to Clayton to give you some updates on land parcels and address points.
Again, I'm the Geographic Data Officer for TextGeo, and I manage our land parcel and address point program. The 2024 collection is still in progress, but I'm starting to wrap that up. We plan to have that most likely available early August. The goals for this year's collection was to improve coverage and fill gaps, which was pretty successful, and to improve our ETL process. So when that becomes available, it'll be on our data hub, and you can also access previous years on our data hub. There's web app services for those available. For our 2024 address point, this is what it is looking like in terms of coverage. There were 252 counties collected that have been processed, and there are 2 counties that we weren't able to get data for, Henderson and Howard. Howard has data, but it's very outdated, and they don't have the resources to keep it updated annually. I'm hoping to get that next year. So Henderson's the only one that we don't have current data for. Of those counties, over 11 million points were processed. And this is just an example of how some of those points were increased from last year's collection. And then this is our land parcel coverage right now. This year we partnered with GIS to collect this statewide data. There have been 233 counties delivered so far. 7 counties have data that's being processed, and then there are 13 counties that still need data collected for. And then there's just 1 county that has no GIS data available. Again, so far, over 11 million parcels have been processed, and that will be available early on. So I will go ahead and pass it off to Maria now.
Folks, I'm Maria, and here with giving you all a brief update at the Research and Distribution Center. We have roughly 10% of our frames completed for the georeferencing project. These are the collections that are available right now on our data hub. Highly recommend checking those out if you're interested. Please feel free to reach out to either Erin or myself if you have any questions. Our emails are up there. And if you want to contact anyone at StratMap, here's our emails. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah. Do anyone have any questions for anyone on the StratMap team? Any of the content that you just saw?
Yeah, and if you're virtual, feel free to drop a question in the Q&A section of the Teams meeting, and we can address it there.
We're gonna use a mic in the office, in the room. Nothing? Okay. We'll move on. Okay, next is our featured presentation. And so Chad is a geographer and member of the MAPS team at Meta, who has spent his career applying geospatial solutions to human challenges through the adaptation of geography. His work has proven to build partnerships and create scalable geospatial capacity with local communities around the world. And so now I'll provide my more human introduction. And that is, we have Chris Bardash, he's not in the room today, maybe he's online, with TxDOT to thank for connecting us with, with Chad from Meta. He gave us a demonstration, and I think this is going to be something that would be really interesting if any of your organizations have people out in the field doing like asset collection, doing some sort of running trucks that have cameras on them. Here's an opportunity where we might be able to bring that data in and be able to share it in a community type format. So it's really exciting platform that he's going to tell you about. And so I will get out of the way so Chad can take over and tell you about it.
Awesome, thank you.
Click over to your slides.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. You want me to like just go to the next one? All right, slideshow. That should work, right? All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Chad Blevins. I'm with the Maps team at Meta. As Gayla mentioned, that I met Chris Bardash at the GIST conference. I don't know if anyone's been to that. It's a transportation focus group. And I guess he had some experience using Mapillary in the past. He had done a lot of work with OpenStreetMap. I think at some point they had mapped all the graveyards in Texas. It's kind of not a great topic or thing to map, but I guess it needs to be done. And they put all that data on OpenStreetMap. This one platform where it could all be, stored and used. And so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about mapping at Meta, and then just real quickly, I'll get rid of this, about myself. Oh my gosh. Anyway, my middle name is Austin. I don't know how to get rid of that. And this is my first time coming to Austin. It's kind of like a cheesy story, but I was like, I have to tell it. Because when I was a kid, as probably most people in this room, we had this like map of the United States with these like, wooden puzzle pieces that you would put together. And, obviously I saw my middle name on the Austin about the time I learned how to read. I don't know, I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And I was like, man, I'm going to go there someday, It's got my name on it. I was like very exciting as a young kid. And it only took me like 40 something years to actually come here. But the cool connection is I'm here talking to a bunch of mappers. So, hey, I think I'm going to consider that a win. That's not my puzzle map. Anyway, so why are maps important to Meta? So last week we were at the Esri conference in San Diego. And I think the number one question that we got was people would come up and be like, what is Meta doing at a mapping conference? It's like, right? Does anyone connect Meta with maps? You guys probably do because you all make maps, and so do people there, but they're important to us. We use them in all of our, there's a picture missing there. We use them in all of our products, Facebook pages, Instagram discovery, the recommendations page, WhatsApp business, right? Maps are embedded into all of the work that we do. They're not front and center like an Apple map or a Google map or a Bing map, right? But they are embedded in there, and that geospatial data is in there. There's different ways to make maps. You can pay someone to give you that data to build the map under certain licensing. You can build that map yourself. You could try and, piece it together from free bits of open data on the internet. So it depends on how and where you're trying to map. But yeah, we make our own map, and this is how we do it. We basically, and I'm sort of generalizing here for simplicity's sake, but we take data from 3 different buckets. One is OpenStreetMap. The other is authoritative data. So that's all the data that you all are working hard to curate, the address data, right? I know that is something that's extremely hard to do. Just getting dropped off at this building, the Lyft driver took me in the back alley by the kids, entrance. I'm like, is this the entrance to the building? He's like, yep. Get out. I'm like, all right. So I had to walk around the building. It's not a big deal. But we take that authoritative data, and then we'll also have some machine learning data. So that's stuff that we derive from satellite imagery or street level imagery, which I'll talk about a little bit more here. And so we kind of mush all that stuff together and make our map, our meta map, and then that's the one that we push out through all our family of apps, and we actually make it available to the public for free. which is something that I don't think we really advertise very much. It's currently available free through a product called Daylight Distribution, but that is slowly moving into Overture Maps. So has everyone here heard of Overture Maps? I'm seeing yeses and nos throughout the room. So this is a fairly recent effort. This was started December 2022, I think, right at the end of the year. So it's less than 2 years old. And, you know, Meta, Microsoft, TomTom, Amazon, they had all kind of been partnering loosely through the OpenStreetMap community. And they're like, look, why don't we all join forces here? Map making is hard. It's hard, it's time consuming, it's expensive. We all know that. Let's join forces here, bring like our best of our superpowers all together and try and make one map of the world that we can all use. And not only we can use, these 4 companies, but other companies can use. So there's been a number of partners that have joined since they launched Overture Maps Foundation. But what they're basically doing is looking for different sources of open data and taking their expertise in building maps and kind of bringing all that together. So obviously Amazon has the web processing power and a lot of that back-end work, and on the data side, Meta, you know, has places data and other information through some of our other apps that we can use. Microsoft has, you know, their Bing product and street level imagery, and TomTom is really like, you know, they've been building maps for decades. So they have that historical knowledge of how to do it and how to keep them updated. So getting on to the original product that I showed, Mapillary. Is there any questions here about the meta maps, I guess, before I go any further? Nope. All right, Mapillary. So who's heard of Mapillary? Awesome. This is going to be a new thing then. This is, what is Mapillary? So it's an open source street level image archive of the world. So it's just like Google Street View, except the data falls under an open license, a Creative Commons license, so it can be used for other purposes, right? You can actually extract information from the imagery that's on Mapillary and use it for your own research, for your own map building, for your own reference and other things. There's lots of examples and case studies on the website. There's currently over 2 billion images all around the world. Here's the coverage from Austin. It's kind of a zoomed out, but yet most of the places have been covered at least once. The company started in 2013. It was acquired by Meta in 2020. So the archive of imagery really goes back to about 2015, 16 is like some of the oldest stuff that I've seen out there. You know, how does it work? You can pretty much use any camera anywhere. Smartphone, there's a Mapillary app for iOS and Android. You can use any type of action camera provided that it has a GPS, it needs that GPS. Dash cams, most of those do have GPS, or 360 camera. So, you know, I carry around a GoPro on a magnet that I like to stick on top of my car when I drive around. But you can use, like, you know, if you have a vendor that's capturing high resolution, you know, 12K resolution imagery from a high-end sensor, that imagery can also go onto the platform. You know, there's different ways to collect. We've had people, you know, by bicycle. This one guy last year captured all of Brussels in Belgium by bike, like 4,000 kilometers. It's a lot. It's like 2,000 something miles. Stick it on your car, walk around, go hiking, right? The options are limitless. So how does it scale and automate mapping, right? It literally creates open data. So one of my first GIS jobs, we would always like joke, like, oh, we need like that map, create map button, you know? Well, it actually exists kind of with Mapillary. So you put the street imagery, upload it to this platform. It goes through an ingestion process, takes about 24 to 48 hours. During that process, it kind of like, you know, I'll explain how it works a little. I have some slides later, but it starts to segment out each piece of that image, and then it matches that with an existing database. And it's like, oh, we know this is a stop sign because it's red and it's octagonal, and it says it's got the letter stop on it. And then it'll tell you exactly where that stop sign is. It's kind of cool. So it does all kinds of traffic signs. There's about 1,500 different types of traffic signs it automatically recognizes. That is worldwide. I don't know how many traffic signs we actually use in the US. Someone, transportation person probably knows, but it's not 1,500. So you can see in this, and I'm trying to like demonstrate here, you see the little stop sign icon. It sees where that stop sign is, and it can triangulate the position of that stop sign based on seeing it in 3 different sequences in a row, and then using the GPS from each one of those pictures, and then a little bit of photogrammetry. It gives you an approximate location. The better your GPS and the device you're using, the more accurate the location will be. And this is sort of what it looks like in downtown Austin, right around the office here somewhere. And this is very common in downtown areas. There's a lot of no parking, and no turn, one-way signs, right? And this is what it was able to detect just around a couple blocks in downtown. It also, there's like dozens of other map features that it automatically identifies. You can see in this picture, this is right on Rio Grande West 8th Street, but there's street lights, crosswalks. There's even a bike lane marking, so it'll pick up the bike lane markings for you, gives you a sense of where the bike lanes are, manholes, fire hydrants, all kinds of different features, bike racks, park benches, etc. There's a complete list on the website you can check out. And this is kind of what it looks like in that same block. Maybe this is a block up between 7th and 8th. Yep. That northern section was the intersection that I took a screen picture of. So it automatically identifies those, and then you just click the download button, kicks them down as a GeoJSON file. You can load it into your GIS, and you're off and running. It also has a privacy filter, so it automatically blurs license plates and faces in every single image, which is really good. I would say it's almost too good in some cases, because if you want to like read the letters of a street sign, sometimes they get blurred. But I guess they erred on the side of more blurring than less blurring there. But you don't have to worry about any of the privacy issues that come with capturing imagery on public roadways. So how does it work? It's a secret. No, it's really not a secret. It's just a lot of engineering went into this, really. This is kind of like a path, someone walking along that path, right? So it takes each frame, if you're capturing a frame like every 2 seconds, like it's showing here, it takes the data from each one of those using the GPS, and it creates a point cloud based purely on optical imagery, just kind of like panning around a little bit here. And that point cloud, it's not, you know, if you're used to using a lot of LiDAR, that's maybe not that impressive, but that was created with a smartphone camera, right? And this is another, you know, this semantic segmentation, kind of the same thing. So, and this is where it's like starting to identify objects that are out there. This was taken via drone imagery using the same technology, but it goes through using those point clouds. It helps them along with the optical component to identify what those features are. So people always ask, well, how accurate is it? If I drive around my town, am I going to be able to find every stop sign? You know, and the answer is probably not, you know, automatically. Probably not, but you'll get really close. You know, you'll get, stop signs are one of the easier, probably 95% accuracy. There's going to be those 5% that are hidden behind a bush or maybe not there, or there's a truck driving by or whatever, you know, so you might not get them all. But one of the beauties of Mapillary is you can go recapture imagery at any time. You don't have to deal with a vendor that, you know, well, you only have so many times you can ask us to go out. Or if you're, you know, relying on Google, like they might not come back. Development, rework the intersection, you can go redrive that, you know, every day if you wanted to. but usually about once a year is what we found is like the sweet spot for getting refreshes of imagery. And we've even had some counties like hire like interns, you know, GoPro cameras, interns. They'll drive around all day, give them pizza. They're happy. So can you access the Mapillary API? I'm making this, you know, big to do about the Mapillary, and the answer is yes, you can. And here's some ways you could do that. ArcGIS Online. If you go through and you search for the data sources that are available, Mapillary will come up. And they are integrating this. This is all kind of new, and Esri is slowly developing this into their oriented imagery viewer. And what that is I don't know if anyone's heard of that yet. It's been around for like a couple of years now. It's slowly evolving. But it allows you to bring, this is an aerial image. I got this off their the samples that they have on ArcGIS Online. But it allows you to view that street level image or that, you know, low angle drone image, and you can kind of like turn it around, and then it makes this big red triangle thing that kind of shows you what you're looking at. It's kind of cool. And it can be very, very useful in certain instances, especially if you're in downtown areas where orienting yourself is not as easy. There's also a plugin for Arc Pro. So I know that not everyone has probably migrated to Arc Pro yet. Maybe you have. I'm not going to ask. But if you are using Arc Pro, we actually pay a third-party vendor to maintain this plugin, and we're working on getting them to improve the API so you have some more filter capabilities. But it's a free plugin. You can download it if your CIO allows you to, which they should because it's part of the Esri suite. And then you can start viewing that imagery directly in your GIS. Right? Super useful depending on your use. And then, of course, there's OpenStreetMap. Going back to how Meta makes maps, and you know, OpenStreetMap is one of the sources. Well, it is like the main source, really. I don't know the exact numbers, but a large percentage of the data that we're using comes from OpenStreetMap. It's the most complete, concise map of the world. You know, it's much easier to take data from one source and then, you know, clean it up and make it pretty for people to use than it is to try and, you know, cobble together from, what did you say, 250 counties across the state, right? That's 254 counties in one state, right? That's a tremendous amount of work. So, you know, we always encourage people to put data directly in OpenStreetMap, or at least see what's there, because it's one source, it's easy to use, versus putting together all kinds of stuff. So a lot of people are using street level imagery in OpenStreetMap for various things. If you're going in downtown areas, you're mapping, you know, one of the things that I'm currently working on a lot is mapping pedestrian infrastructure in major US cities, all across the country. And you need street level imagery in order to do that. You can't tell if there's crosswalk markings without it. You can guess, you can see shadows, but you can't definitively tag it as crosswalk, you know, electric signal, curb cuts, tactile surface, right? All of those details are critical to accessibility and pedestrian infrastructure, and they need current street level imagery to do that. And these are some editors, Rapid and Jossum. I don't know if anyone's done any OpenStreetMap editing, but if you have, you know what those are. And those tools integrate the Mapillary API, so you can view it just like you see right here. All right, then a couple case studies here on like open data, you know, why open data is important for map building. And ways that it gets used that you might not know about. Our StratMap team, I kind of figured you all would be here, but this is a source of data in OpenStreetMap. So if you go, who's actually edited anything in OpenStreetMap before? All right. So when you go in to edit OpenStreetMap, it's basically digitizing. We all did it in college. You've got Bing Maps, you've got this Esri layer, a couple different versions of Esri. There's a map box. There used to be a Maxar one before they got bought. So you only really have a handful of choices to look at. And sometimes you need multiple choice, to get the multiple sources to get different views of things to actually figure out what they are. So this is StratMap. There's two versions of it here, the 2021 and the 2020. So thank you. It's actually getting used. I don't know if you knew that or not, but the OSM community is, we are using it. It's cool. And the pedestrian case study, this was talking about this earlier, but this is a real good example. And this happens in every major city in the United States, particularly New York. We just did New York, but you have you can't really see anything there. The buildings are so big, the shadows, they shouldn't even be allowed to sell imagery with shadows like that. But the reality is they're always there pretty much, unless you're flying over right at noon on the solstice or something, there's going to be shadows. So it's hard to see things in aerial imagery, street level imagery really opens it up. And then Washington, D.C., I like showing these examples because this is, you can clearly see the extent of Washington, D.C. in green. So everywhere there's green, there's been a Mapillary capture. And then, this part of D.C. is actually, Virginia has it years ago. And I won't tell that story. But basically what's happening here is the D.C. Department of Public Works, they have a leaf collection campaign every fall. They go around with these trucks with a big vacuum cleaner thing on it. They suck up all the leaves in the street. And if you have leaves in your yard, you drag them to the street and they clean everything up. And they have a patrol car that goes along afterwards, does a quality check to make sure that all the leaves have been picked up and nothing was left behind or whatever. And when they send that patrol car down the street, they just put a camera. They actually know they use a smartphone in the dash. Little cheap little mount. Then they drive through and then they do two things with that. They verify that all the leaves have been captured. Then they have a photographic evidence that those leaves have been captured because apparently people will drag their leaves out that night and try and tell them to come pick them back up the next day. And they're like, oh no, this is a thing. So we have the picture. And then they also use it as creating their street image every year. They do pretty much the whole city every year, at least parts of it every year. So it costs them absolutely nothing. And it's a small city, but they have a lot of streets. And this is another one with Connecticut Department of Transportation. Again, I did a query on the Mapillary data. I said, just give me all the 360-degree data that has been captured in the last 3 years. And this is what came up, all the major roadways in Connecticut. I'm going to find out a little bit more about their story, but they've been doing this for, I think, 8 years now. And they do a mix of, they do have third-party vendors that capture data for them. They push it up the Mapillary, and then some of those areas that they maybe missed or didn't cover, or smaller rural areas, they'll go capture them themselves and then just put it up into Mapillary, so it's all in one source. The other thing I maybe didn't mention here is Mapillary is a completely free platform to use. There's no licensing, storage costs, server fees or anything like that. It is one of the tools that Meta maintains on behalf of the open mapping community, kind of just as a source of data that people can build maps from. We do a lot. Meta supports the OpenStreetMap community pretty extensively, the foundation in the UK, the US local chapter, the conferences, some of the tooling around it. And this is just one of the tools that we maintain that I think is the most useful to state governments. Yep, and that's it. So thank you all for your time. Later.
Yeah, if you have any questions online, just raise your hand and we'll unmute you. You do have somebody who's already asking a question. Oh, where'd they go? Chris, did you have a question? Oh, yeah, he is. Okay, so I'm gonna Unmute you.
Hey, I don't really have a question so much as I just wanted to follow up. And Chad, I'm sorry I'm not there in person. Just wasn't able to do that. But I'm so glad that you were able to come. So yeah, this is Chris Bardash, and Chad and I met at a GIS for Transportation conference. And I thought it would be good for him to come down and speak to our community, just because I feel like there's so much potential for this, and because it's free, I mean, whether you're a city or a university or, a DOT like us, if you collect imagery like on a truck or by any other means, like Chad mentioned, you can get what would otherwise cost you a ton of money, which I know because we're in the process of doing it ourselves. And so, for us as a DOT across the whole state, although I do hope that we can utilize this in some way or form, but if you are a smaller entity, and you could realistically drive or otherwise collect data, which you could then upload into their Mapillary product, then you can turn around and download that free. I mean, I just think that's amazing. And obviously, Meta has their own ulterior motivations for doing this, but as I understand it from Chad, when they bought Mapillary, it was Mapillary's insistence that they kept all this data public. So that works out for you and me. Anyways, that's why I was hoping you could come down. I really am hoping to hear that some of you could use some of this. And I'd really be interested to hear that if you do end up, maybe in a future meeting. But yeah, that's my 2 cents worth.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
If we have like 2 minutes here, I can answer different questions, and I can also demonstrate how it works real quick.
Sure. Yeah, there's only one other person with their hand raised at the moment, so.
Sure, I can answer the question first, and then.
All right. Ricardo, you can unmute yourself now.
Thank you. My question's the following. I am curious as to how this information can be used with coordination with police or military agencies.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think it's all freely and openly available, and that is one of the benefits of putting things on Mapillary. And from what I've been told is, often a Department of Transportation will contract with a firm to capture imagery of their city or state, and then they're restricting that, or there's certain licenses. And so the Department of Transportation is like, look, we're not going to pay for public works and emergency response folks to have access to this because this is our funding. We already paid for the imagery. We need it to find street signs, not save lives. So there's a lot of imagery out there that's being captured that's like a one-time use thing. So if you do push it to Mapillary, other people can use it. Fresno County in California is a great example. Their public works department started capturing imagery. They had the Creek Fire in 2020. And by that time, they had been using Mapillary. They drove on all the fire roads back there to map culverts and bridges because they're like, there's a big fire. We need to know where culverts and bridges are. And we want some photo log evidence of what these roads are in case we send trucks up there. We know what kind of truck, or side by side to send. And so it was captured by Public Works, but during the fires, FEMA was using it to speed up insurance claims because they had a picture like, hey, there actually was a house here. Here's the picture. And they were using it to actually fight the fire and go up on some of these back roads, which is cool. Honestly, once you have it, it's like people will find uses for it if you get it up there. So here's Houston real quick. I'm just you can set filters. You can set it, by capture date. And so this shows you like the greener it is, the newer it is. So this stuff is a little bit old, but it's not that old. You can set it by 360. There's been a lot of 360 coverage in Houston. This is not typical everywhere, but there's this one user who's gone around and driven all of Houston, I think just on his own accord. You know, Meta does take privacy seriously, more so than when Mapillary was a private company. So we don't have the ability to track these people down and ask them like, hey, you know, unless we have some connection with them. So here's Houston. And then, you know, as far as like, you want to know where all the signs are. I don't know if I'm in downtown here or not, but you go to this little map data button and you're like, hey, I want to see where all the street signs are. You can pull out individual signs if you want. Boom, and there they are. And they just all show up. And then when I was talking about that map data button, you click the download. I'm not sure why it's grayed out right now, but you usually just push that. And then, I think I have to be signed in for the download button to work. But you can at least visualize all the signs from here. And then there's all the rest of the infrastructure that also just pops up automatically. And all of that is created, you know, using machine learning and artificial intelligence when the imagery is being uploaded. Yeah, and you need to be logged in for that download button. Oh, yeah, that's how it works.
Is there georeferencing that goes on here as well? To any major extent?
Georeferencing?
Yeah, like, you know, hello? You know, can you draw polygons and do measurements from these images? Or is it predominantly for base mapping?
Yeah, it's primarily for base mapping and for feature extraction. I think the Esri oriented imagery viewer thing is trying to build in some of that functionality. You know, you do get like a little bit of a mixed bag with, you know, that's why it's good to filter, and you can like filter by your username or your user account. So you can be like Texas GIO and they give every county a Mapillary account, just saying. And then, you know, you could filter by like Texas GIO, and then all of that imagery would come up, and that would be a way you could control the quality of what's going up there, and not just like someone walking around, you know, their kid with the smartphone or something and capturing all kinds of crazy stuff. But generally, it's good quality. If someone's going to go out and go through the effort to use Mapillary, they're generally doing, at least trying to do a good job. And the newer the imagery, the better.
So does it provide you the vintage of when it was captured?
Yep, it does.
And possibly even the source?
Yep, all that.
I noticed when he had that slide of the Congress out here before the mall was, I'm sorry, let me use it.
That's the 17.
Yeah, at the bottom, it said it was 2017 before they dug up the road and put in Grassy Mall, and there was a little source name by it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like Microsoft uploaded some of this, but it generally tells you captured with, and it'll say like, you know, Google Pixel 5 or, you know, Apple iPhone 14 or whatever it is, or GoPro Max 360. It gives you the resolution. It gives you the date.
So you get a lot of this from enterprise partners as well, as well as independent. Sorry. Use enterprise resources as well, like you said, Microsoft there, as well as independent.
It's one of our partners.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so they do the Bing, and then I think at some point early on they uploaded a bunch of their imagery here. But there's kind of countless case studies on the website and you know, reasons and ways where you just not expect people are using it for certain things. Cool.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, my name is Sally. Thank you for your talk. It was wonderful. I teach remote sensing and image interpretation, and I want to tell my students about this. So I just had a curious question about the feature extraction and the imagery itself. Can you, when people update the information in OSM, do the updates feed back into Mapillary? Like, are the points ever updated after the AI runs and the initial upload? And my second question was, can you download the source imagery? And is there any like ortho-rectified, like planimetric sort of versions of it? Or is it just the raw images that you sort of look at only on the web browser? Thank you.
Yep. The first question is, all of the feature extracts that you see in Mapillary have to be manually added to OpenStreetMap. It's not an automatic thing. The way the OpenStreetMap community works, and this is one of the reasons why Overture exists, is they don't want machines generating data and putting it in there because you get some junk, some slop. And they want all the data in OpenStreetMap to be hand curated, which is one of the reasons it's actually so good. Your second question is, yes, you can download the sequences. You do need to be logged in to do that. And it will just give you the file as it is with all of the metadata that's associated in the processing that's been done, through the device itself. So I'm not sure if that answered your question or not, but
Yes.
And where do you teach?
At Austin Community College.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And do they, so my question really was about like, is there any further updates to the points themselves? Like if you live in this area and you go to Mapillary, can you make a correction or an update? Or is it just, it's just the raw product of the extraction of the features that you're getting with no further like corrections?
You can update it yourself. I mean, if you collected new imagery and you put it in the Mapillary, it would automatically update within 24 hours, 48 hours. If you only wanted to see the newer stuff, this is where you can go in here and set like date filters, or like, oh, only want to see the imagery that I contributed, or I only want to see stuff that's within the last year. You can go in here and set those date filters and then it'll automatically generate those features based on that filter, that date filter. So you're controlling the outputs.
So there's no adjustments to the features themselves?
Once they're in there now.
Okay.
But if you drive it again, it will automatically adjust. Like if you're saying, oh, there's a stop sign that's a little bit off, it will automatically do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
So if you have a drone and you're wanting to like upload the video to the software Mapillary, I suppose when you're recording with a smartphone, you have the app Mapillary downloaded and you're using the app while you're recording the data. But drones don't really have apps. Like how does that process work? Do you upload the video? It recognizes the trajectory on which the drone was flown, or do you manually provide it? Like, what's the process?
Yeah, it's really ground-based data capture. It's not really meant for drones. I know that one example I showed was a drone. That was just for demonstration purposes of how the technology works.
So you need to have the Mapillary app installed on the device that's recording, or?
Yeah, so you either have it on your smartphone, or if you use like a GoPro camera, then you just you download this little desktop uploader is what it's called, and you drag that file from your camera, drop it on the uploader, and it automatically processes.
So it does not do video, right?
It does do video. It will do video.
Okay.
It'll take your video and then it'll pull out pictures from that video.
But like photos have the lat long embedded in them. How does the the trajectory of the video work?
It syncs up with the GPS.
Okay.
With the GPS track. And I am not the engineer that built that, so I can't probably answer that question specifically. But I do know that it has to match the GPS file and the video time. It uses the timestamp.
Okay, so where does the GPS file come from? Like because your
GoPro or your phone.
Okay. Because this is not MP4. So the GPS file is the output of Mapillary software. Like
when you're capturing video with a GoPro, just for example, that's what I have the most experience with, a Garmin or whatever, it has a GPS file embedded in that video.
Okay.
And that GPS file has a timestamp on it, and that video has a timestamp on it. So it matches those timestamps and then pulls the video up and matches it with the timestamp on the GPS. It pulls a picture out and matches it with that timestamp, and that's when you get these little green dots like this.
Thank you.
Yep. I know we're a little bit over time, so.
We're good. We're actually really good on time.
Okay.
Yep. Got maybe a couple more questions?
Thanks. Just, you might have already answered it, but is there a history of the photos? As in, maybe I don't want to look at 2023 photo, but I want to look at the 2019 photos or every other one, the first photo that got taken when they passed through there. Is that a capability in there?
Yep. Yep, that's, I'm just gonna show you how to do that right here. We can use Houston again as example. Filters, say 2020 to, and I'm just, if nothing shows up, don't blame me. See? Oh, and then I got 360 turned on, so that's super. All right, there's a little bit, So if you want to see what was captured between 2020 and 2022, people were still, sitting at home with their mask on, thinking that the apocalypse is coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably kids were at home trying to work. It's crazy. All right.
Just to piggyback off that, how far back does the imagery or the images go to?
I believe about 2015 is the earliest images that I've seen.
So if I understand correctly, my name is Mark with the GIO. We respond to damage after restore. We just had a category 1 come to shore. So our response officers, they have the app. They could actually take pictures of damage down along the shoreline, say along the road that runs along the beach, or drive along the beach and see the dunes. And so people back at the office, if they have the app and logged in, they would be able to see those images, videos, pictures, kind of in a street map environment.
Exactly.
Not only the video they're taking, but as you pan, you would kind of see this generic other.
Exactly.
And then they could go a week later after supposedly being cleaned up and check it again and see the same thing again, and only go out.
Yep.
Okay, great.
There's a group out of the University of Washington, the Rapid Centers is what they call themselves, and they're like disaster forensic image scientists or something. And so they intentionally drive after disasters, take all this imagery like tornadoes and stuff, and then look at it in detail and try and figure out like, how did that car end up in the tree type of thing, So they do it exactly for that purpose. And then other people use it for debris removal. It's like, man, we need 50 dump trucks. At least they did it for Sanibel Island in Florida when the causeway got washed away. I can show you that imagery. I can show you a lot of imagery if we don't have time. But yeah, you can see them pulling dump trucks of sand out, and they rebuilt that causeway in like a couple days or something. It just kind of blew me away.
Yeah, our guys are just using field maps now to collect data now, the damage data, and we're just getting the the aerial imagery view with their points, and having something like that would be very beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, thank you, Chad, so much for your presentation.
Check out the website. You can find
one more. We have time for one.
We got 2 quick questions. First one is from Chris Bardash. Can you use your OpenStreetMaps account to log into Mapillary?
Not anymore.
Okay. No. And then another one from Chris Repka. Are there publicly available APIs to access Mapillary data with software or data pipelines?
Yes, there are. That's what I was going to show. Wait, where is it? It's developers build with Mapillary. So check out the website. You can get an access token. It's all free. There's information on how to access the API, JavaScript, Python, embeds. It's all there. And then, my email. Oops. That was my presentation. Sorry. My email was on my presentation. That thing get in my way there. Sorry. Y'all can just message me. There it is, chadblevins@meta.com. Happy to follow up, do like a more in-depth demo for other people on your team, answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really glad that you were finally able to make it to Austin. Okay, we're going to transition next into, I think it's our roll call. Slides back up. Yep. Okay, so our roll call. Okay, who would like to start? Like to share some things? Oh, Claire? So everyone, please give Claire a round of applause. Next week, she is retiring from the USGS. Claire has done a ton for mapping in Texas and being an advocate for geographic data in Texas for all these many years. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jill.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, so I am the National Map Liaison for Texas. I have been since, I guess, 2006. So thanks, everybody, for all the great years. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, thanks. So I just wanted to make one final announcement before I go. So just wanted to let everybody know that we're going to be hosting a webinar on August 7th. It's on the 3D National Topography Model Data Collaboration Announcement, and it's the announcement for FY25. And so this webinar is basically to provide information so people can learn more about opportunities for collaborative funding with USGS for data via the 3D elevation program and the 3D hydrography program. Both of those two programs combined are what comprise the 3D national topography model. So if you have to register in advance, and the website that you would go to register, it's www.usgs.gov/3dntm/DCA. So hopefully, Joey, I don't know if you got that, you can put that in the chat, or maybe not. Anyway, maybe it'll go in the notes or something. I'll do it again. So 3dntm, so sorry, www.usgs.gov/3dntm/DCA. And again, that is August 7th. And so Texas GIO, formerly TNRIS, has been a recipient of partnership funds through what was the broad agency announcement and is now known as the data collaboration announcement. And they currently have we currently have a collaborative project. So in any case, feel free to sign up and join that webinar for more information. Oh, one more thing. I am being replaced after my retirement. So Michelle Fisher, she's currently the liaison for Arkansas and Louisiana. She is being assigned Texas and Oklahoma. We're not sure if it's permanent or temporary, or if my job's going to be backfilled with someone else, but she's taking it on as though it will be permanent. So Michelle is on virtually. She's located in Louisiana, and she's planning to attend the Texas GIS Forum. So hopefully a bunch of you will be able to meet her and give her a warm Texas welcome. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Claire.
And anybody interested in the DCA, I posted a link to it virtually in the question thread.
Hey, who would like to go next? I don't have anything to share. Yeah.
I know I'm not a state agency, but I'm John Dory with Esri, and we just, during the meeting, we found out that ArcGIS Online is now FedRAMP moderate, and the Department of Interior has finally blessed us. So it's been in, they finished all their work for the certification, but it's taken quite a while to get it finally done, but it's done today. And I'll be letting Rackspace and ATOS and DIR know that that's the case.
Hey, Jared, do you want to say anything?
Jessica Greason's our GIS manager. Do you give an update on the, on our software upgrades for the next year? You talked about yesterday, or we had our, I talked. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Jared Ware. I work at the Railroad Commission of Texas, but I'm not in the GIS game as much as our GIS manager, Jessica or Chris Kahn here. So we had our quarterly meeting yesterday. We have a GIS community, like a users group within the Railroad Commission. So we reconstituted it. And so we talked about a bunch of different issues. And one thing is we're doing some kind of software upgrades. You want to kind of go into some details on it?
Yeah, I mean, we're currently, I think John knows enough about this. Hey, John. Sorry, I missed you. At any rate, we've upgraded recently. We've done a server upgrade to 10.9.1. We're working to upgrade our clients. We did an upgrade on our clients to 10.8.2 in order for us to work toward getting toward our GIS Pro. And that's what we're currently working on, all of our customized toolbars. Trying to work to, a lot of the things that we have are scripted, specialized type of tools that we've created. So we're doing a lot of research and trying to make sure that we're either using the built-in functionalities or using services so that whenever we move to our next step, which will be the cloud, a cloud-based Azure environment, we don't have to rebuild all of these things again. So it's taking a little time. It's going to be a long project because we have a lot of stuff to do. But then we're also working to upgrade our geodatabase side. So we found that we've got to do that before we can even move forward. So that's just kind of where we are. We've got a lot on our plate, and probably about the next 6 to 8 months, we're going to be upgrading. It's going to take some time. So anyway, but eventually we're going to be, at least not 10 years fully behind the rest of it. So we're getting there. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks, Jared.
Sally?
Thanks. I just want to plug some professional development opportunities for your employees and your colleagues and yourselves. So 4 of the 6 contacts that they showed earlier are graduates of the ACC GIS certificate program. So if you go to austincc.edu/GIS, sign up for our fall classes, scripting, remote sensing, intro to GIS, and analysis. You get to learn how to manage a project in GIS from start to finish, and it's an amazing program. So just ask our grads in the room here today. So sign up, and the classes start in like 3 weeks or so. Cheers.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And if anybody online would like to speak, please just raise your hand and I'll unmute you.
BEG folks, we're working 2 projects with Bureau of Economic Geology.
Do you want to talk about, is anyone from the BEG here today? No?
Yeah, I will.
Again, Railroad Commission. So we have a contract with Bureau of Economic Geology. So there's 2 big projects we're working right now. Probably saw the earthquake hit, yesterday or day before. So we have a TechNet site where we do seismic projects. And so we hired a seismologist. We got a whole team that's working on the earthquake side. So we've upgraded the TechNet site with UC Austin or BEG. And so there's a lot more functionality that's been added to it. And our second project that we're working on is with our Geologic Advisory Unit, which is James Harcourt leads that team. And we've upgraded what used to be called the service casing estimator. So a lot of our operators need to know a lot of geospatial information to be able to figure out where they're going to put wells. And so we've made a lot of updates to that using Imagery software. It's awesome. So the guy, Aaron Everett's been working on that on the development side. And so that went hot this week. So we've been working on that for about 8 months now. And so we're finally able to get that on our public GIS viewer. And that's now a usable tool to make assessments from our operator side. So kudos to our BEG team for putting that together for us at the Railroad Commission. Great GIS project.
You want to say GLO? No?
I think Scott's online.
Is he online? Anyone raise?
Yeah, Scott is online, but we do have Jacqueline, who has raised her hand. Jacqueline, you can unmute yourself and talk.
Hello, Joey and everyone. This is Jackie Hincher with the City of Austin. And just a couple comments. Now I'm trying to remember what they were. Oh, I didn't see the USGS meeting in the chat or the QA. So that was, I don't know if it's just me. And then secondly, I think it was Railroad Commission talking about deploying enterprise into Azure. The city's working on a similar project, so it's also going to be long and we have lots to figure out. So if y'all want to talk, just let me know.
That's Jackie Henser with the City of Austin.
Thanks,
Yeah, the
Kayla.
link is in the Q&A section. So
The link is? Okay. And we'll also put it in the follow-up notes. We always send out a follow-up email after these community meetings, so put that USGS link in there with the slides. Anyone else in the room or online? Okay. All right, I guess we'll move on. Let's see what's next. Okay, next is Courtney Rowe online. She usually talks about these things.
Do not see her.
Okay. Well, there is a Mappy hour after.
Oh, yeah, here she is.
Would she like to unmute?
You can unmute yourself, Courtney.
Hey everyone, can y'all hear me?
We can.
Excellent. I am looking forward to everybody coming out to Schultz Garden, which is right around the corner from where the meeting is. And we've got supporting women in geography and GIS, Central Texas GIS, Eurissa, Texas, and our friends at ATX GIS Day all joining us. So it's going to be a great networking opportunity. Everyone that's been to conferences like the Esri UC, come bring some info from some of the great places that y'all been, some of the updates, and share with some of us who didn't get that opportunity to go. So we're really excited to see all of you, and it's going to be a great time.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
And now we're back to Gwen.
Hey again, y'all. If you didn't get a chance when you signed in person to join our mailing list, you can do that via the QR code, or if you're at home, go ahead and scan that. That way you'll get updates like Gayla mentioned in the recap email or invites in the future. I did also want to call attention to some GIS job openings in the community that the Esri San Antonio Regional Office, the state and local government team has some positions open. And if you do want to send us in any openings that you know of, you can do so at that email address, and we'll include it in our follow-up email. So our next community meeting will be the Friday at the forum. So that is free to attend. Anyone's welcome to show up. It will not be hybrid. It's going to be in person only. So we really would love to have you guys in person there. That'll be at the Pickle Center as well. And then, yeah, the forum is the 21st through 25th. So I look forward to seeing you.